Welcome. You're listening to the Keeping Ashland Healthy podcast, a podcast production of the Mental Health and Recovery Board of Ashland County, Ohio. Thanks for joining us. And we do appreciate you joining us once again. And we are in a different series. We've been focusing on getting to know the Mental Health and Recovery Board board members for the last few times. But as we made mention several times, the board partners with three contract partners, Appleseed, Catholic Charities, and Acada. And we thought it made sense to get to know the directors of these three agencies. So in studio with me today is Sheryl Villegas, and she is the director over at Catholic Charities. Welcome to the studio, Sheryl.
Thank you, and thank you for having me, David. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here. And this is not your first time in the studio. This is your second time. So you're a veteran. We're going to have a good time.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to our chat today.
All right. So I have some questions here. Dr. Ashley usually helps me, but she is under the weather. So I'm doing this solo, Sheryl, and that I just warn you because, I'm not nearly as effective when I'm doing this by myself. Dr. Ashley keeps me in line. So I will try to be on my best behavior, but feel free to yell at me because that's what Dr. Ashley does. So we will go through a series of questions. My hope is that the audience will get to know a little bit about you, Sheryl, but also about the programs and the services that are available at Catholic Charities, because you are an important board partner, and we just want the folks to know how to access services, what services they can get, and just everything you want to tell us about Catholic Charities in Ashland County. So I will start it off with a little bit about you. Maybe tell the audience about your education and your experience and what led you to Catholic Charities.
Well, sure, and thank you once again. I guess I would have to start by saying that I'm originally from Lorain County.
Okay.
And so having that background of a rural county has really been a wonderful factor and has helped in Ashland County. Mm-hmm. So I went to originally, leaving home wasn't a thing you really did in my family. So I went real far, went down the road and went to Lorain County Community College for my associate's degree, and then transferred to Cleveland State University, where I got my undergrad. And then also I was awarded a graduate assistantship. So I stayed at Cleveland State and got my master's degree in community agency counseling. And I worked in an advising office there on campus and really appreciated all the stories that new students were bringing in, whether they were new freshmen or transfer students. And I realized that there's always a backstory to everything that a person does. And so I wanted to delve into that a little bit more and got that counseling degree. And then started working right out the chute. My husband and I were living in Cuyahoga County, and I wanted to move back into the more rural area. So,
because you were originally from Wayne County?
Originally Lorain County.
Lorain, okay.
Yeah. But then a job in Wayne County came open, and so I applied and got that, and worked as a counselor for a number of years until an opportunity opened up. I was working at different agencies, and then an opportunity opened up with Catholic Charities. And, I didn't know much about Catholic Charities, but when I became familiar with the mission and values, I felt like that would be a good fit for me. So started again as a counselor at Catholic Charities, and we had some restructuring happen within our agency, and so moved over to help with some things in Ashland County, some program administration, and then some more restructuring happened within Catholic Charities, and then I moved into a directorship position.
Wow. Now, I love that you've had both some of the more metro experience as well as the rural background. I think that serves you well to have that kind of breadth of experience. And so it sounds like you've been with Catholic Charities, and this is the Diocese of Cleveland. For the audience may not know, there Catholic Charities, there's different dioceses that kind of overrule or they're part of, and the Diocese of Cleveland is actually fairly big.
We're 8 county.
Wow.
We have 8 counties, and Ashland County is our southernmost county in the diocese.
Goes all the way up to Cleveland then?
Yeah, Cuyahoga County, Lake, Geauga, Summit County, Lorain,
Wow.
Medina, and then Wayne and Ashland counties.
Okay. Right. And how long you been then, all total, how long you been with Catholic Charities then?
I'm in my 17th year with Catholic Charities. I did leave for a little bit and then came back, but in my current role as a director since 2017.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, and I think I've known you the entire time you've been a director.
I believe you, yeah, definitely.
And I say that because as I was trying to emphasize with our series with our board members, many of our board members have been with the board for 20 plus years. And I think folks will also notice as we do this series with our agency directors that they have been in their positions and in the county working for quite a long time too. And that's important. I just want folks to know that not only our board members, but our agency directors, they understand this community. They understand the needs and the changes and the challenges that exist. So I think, folks knowing that you've been in this current role for 7 years, I think that's important.
Yes, and I think too, I learn something new every day. That within Ashland County, there's a lot of diversity. Whether you're going to the southern part of the county, the northern part, or central into Ashland City, there's just a lot of diversity and differences, and it takes time for people to get to know you, but also for you to get to know what's happening in the county and what's important to the residents. Yeah,
you bring up at a point I've often said the reason I like working in Ashland County, and there are many reasons, but one of it is even though it's rural, there's still, it takes a little bit of time to get to know everybody, but it doesn't take forever like Cuyahoga County or even Summit or Stark. It is small enough that you can really get to know folks in this county and work with them. And I like that. I like the partnerships and getting to know folks and working together well. And we can, again, start a program from scratch and actually stand it up fairly quickly in this county. And I've always appreciated that. It's a can-do kind of county when it comes to starting something from the ground floor. So, I don't want to assume our audience knows a whole lot about Catholic Charities. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe talk about the organization, not only in Ashland County, but collectively, because I think probably the entire organization shares a similar mission and vision. So if you could tell us a little bit about kind of what is Catholic Charities Diocese of Cleveland all about?
And I appreciate that question. I always feel like I need to start a conversation about Catholic Charities by emphasizing that you don't need to be Catholic to receive our services or to work for our organization. We are the social arm of the Catholic Church, but we operate in such a way that we are a separate entity. And when you look at the mission and values, so much of what we do we are the hands and feet of Jesus in the community. So that's what we are called to do. And so we serve everyone. We serve people of any faith, people of no faith, but we really are grounded in those values of dignity of person, concern for the poor, hope, justice, and stewardship. And that's what drives what we do. So within Catholic Charities, every county within the diocese has its own flavor and its own specialty. But what we really try to do is be attentive and responsive to the needs of the county. So here in Ashland, we do things differently than you're going to see in another county because of the needs that are present in Ashland County. So we look at any of those behavioral health type services, counseling, yes, but also with the wonderful creativity of Ashland, we're able to have these carve-out programs that can really meet people where they're at. And as to what the point with what you were saying, being responsive to what the community needs. And so it's having those relationships and being able to listen to what our community wants, and then we work with the mental health board to be able to create a program to meet that need.
No, that's good stuff. I hope the audience heard, you don't, sometimes folks worry about how to pay, et cetera. And the board, as we've talked about, we try to be the safety net. But that's why we partner with organizations like Catholic Charities, because as you heard Sheryl say, there's really no reason not to come if you need the help. They're available to you, regardless of ability to pay. The board has a sliding scale fee, but even above and beyond that, I know Sheryl, because she's told me this, even if somebody is technically responsible for a small amount, sometimes they'll waive that or they'll forego that. The diocese might even provide a subsidy for that. So that's important, because I want folks to know that your organization is committed to providing services irregardless of the person's ability to pay. Of course, if they have insurance, we're going to tap into that, but it's not necessary. That should not be a reason folks don't reach out.
Absolutely. And we never want to hear that we don't have enough money for services. That should never be a barrier. And I do want to emphasize, we're in a time right now where there's a lot of mental health providers out there.
Yeah, true.
There's just all sorts of new and growing businesses in our community. I think that's great that we offer a lot of choices for people. But we always have to remember that community-based mental health is there for the people who maybe nobody else will serve or can serve. Yep. And we make a way. Yep. And we work with our partners. If it's something that we can't do at Catholic Charities, we will reach out to Appleseed. We'll reach out to Acada, because we want to provide that safety net for our community.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. You probably didn't grow up with the exact same father I did, but my father liked Clint Eastwood, and I watched a lot of Clint Eastwood films, including the Dirty Harry films. And one of, Dirty Harry always had taglines, Sheryl. I don't know if you know this. There was always a tagline in it, and one of them was, "A man's got to know his limitations." And when you said that, I could attest to this, that Catholic Charities knows what they do well. They know what they're not equipped to do, and you guys have never been afraid to refer folks to get the help that they need rather than trying to pretend that you can do all things. So I think that's important. You've always been, I think, good about and upfront and honest about that, but you do excel in the things that you do, and that's what I wanted to talk about next. You do a lot of different services, but I wanted to give you some space to talk about maybe 2 or 3 of the programs that you'd like to brag about a little bit, 2 or 3 programs that Catholic Charity does particularly well, that I'm sure our audience probably doesn't even know about.
Mm-hmm. Well, I take great pride in that we can serve people, and this isn't meant to sound crass in any way, but from cradle to the grave, that we're able to provide for all ages. Mm-hmm. And I think kind of on those 2 spectrums, we really do excel. So we've got, with our early childhood, we have our Help Me Grow program, which some people don't know that we have that. We have a Help Me Grow program, but we also have early childhood mental health consultation, where our staff go into the early learning centers, Head Starts, and work with the teachers, the administration, the parents, to be able to help that child succeed. Because we know that if a child doesn't succeed in those early years, that they're going to struggle as they grow. So, and then we have, if someone needs more parenting education, we've got that. And some of that is, most of that is free. It's a service that we offer to families. But then it also can go into if a child needs more in-depth counseling and their family, we've got that. Yeah. And then on the other side of the spectrum, too, is being able to look at all of our golden centers that we have throughout the county, that we've got gathering places for our older adults to get together and for number one, for camaraderie and to alleviate isolation, and but also to our program coordinator, Denise Conrad, brings in many of our highlights many of our programs within the county on subjects that our older adults want to know about, like scams, or how do we stay healthy, or what if I'm concerned about my memory. And so she brings in all sorts of different speakers to be able to meet that need. But then we've got our Pathways Peer Support Program, which is for adults and really is a place where people work together to help one another to stay out of a hospital situation and to really encourage one another. So and then we've got our transitional age. So in between there, we're always concerned with that big jump that individuals make from high school to wham, you're an adult. Yeah. And we realize that a lot of people might not have the resources or the support. So we've got our transitional age youth worker, Allison Ross, who does an amazing job with connecting people and giving that safety net. So those are just a few of the programs that I'm particularly proud of at Catholic Charities.
Well, no, I'm glad you chose those, because that really shows the continuum there from, as you say, I'll say it even more crass, womb to tomb, as Dr. Harvey Stearns used to
There
say
you go.
it. He was my professor up at Akron when in gerontology. Yeah. But yeah, and folks, I'm sure don't know that, from, the birthing process, even before and after, to the early childhood, to our seniors and in between. Catholic Charities, Ashland County serves all of that, and you do it well. But I'll tell you, in spite of all these good programs, I know there are a lot of challenges out there in our workforce, in our world, even in our county. So, for you, what have you experienced in terms of some of the challenges in any of these realms here lately?
Well, our challenge always is with the recruitment and retention of master's level counselors and therapists that can work with the clients that we serve. The pandemic didn't do any of us a favor. And what we saw coming out of the pandemic is people got very used to working at home and working in their homes. So you can be nice and comfy behind your laptop in your pajama pants or whatever. But that's not how community-based mental health works.
Right.
I mean, we're in homes and
right.
we're in schools and we are where the people are. And so attracting high-level qualified individuals to serve in that capacity has been difficult.
Okay.
And then keeping people. We've got some amazing staff, but where are the people that are going to replace them? That is always my concern.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I think we're going to hear this something similar from each of our directors. The workforce issues are a real thing, not only in community behavioral health and other industries as well. But in spite of that, do you see some opportunities on the horizon?
I am always looking for opportunities, and I don't think that the Mental Health Board and the state they're very aware of the challenges that we face. And so I see some efforts being made to look at how can we incentivize people to go into this field? How can we make this field more attractive? And we try to do that at Catholic Charities by offering a flexible schedule. We understand that workers are people first, and so they need to be there to take care of their families, to be present so that they can be healthy people to serve the people. So I think there's been a real emphasis on what we can do to keep our people who are serving people healthy and happy. And so I'm looking for more opportunities to be able to feed into our staff to make them the most happy people in Ashland County so that they can be serving people.
Yeah, no, that's great. I am in studio with Sheryl Villegas, the Director of Catholic Charities, Diocese of Cleveland. And, I know at this point in the conversation, folks are saying, David, how do we get a hold of Sheryl and her great folks? So let's give our audience some contact information. I know your primary number is 419-289-1903, and that's 419-289-1903. And your offices are conveniently located on 2nd Street.
Yes, they are.
34 West 2nd Street, right downtown. You can see Sheryl and then visit one of our many wonderful dining establishments and shopping experiences on Main Street. But other ways besides, I'm sure you have an email address and other things like that folks could Google if they wanted to. But is it the primary mechanism that you get referrals? Is it people walk in, or do they typically call?
Primarily the phone calls. We get a lot of referrals from outside agencies, whether that would be through our juvenile court, our children's services, doctors' offices. But honestly, word of mouth is probably our biggest referral source. But you can also check out our website. It's www.ccdocle.org. And you can search under counties, and you'll see Ashland, and you can pull up what we're doing in Ashland County and take a look at the pictures of our staff members. But calling is always the best way to reach us, or we're open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. You can come on in. And I always do want to let people know that we do have a food shelf that's available. And we've been getting a lot of referrals through our food shelf. So we've got it was the intent of one of our staff members to be able to provide some tangible products for the people who come in for counseling. If somebody is hungry or they don't have anything to be able to feed their family, it makes it really hard to concentrate on relationship issues when you got to meet those basic needs. So we have a donation-only food shelf that people can come in and partake. We don't require them to sign anything, but that has been a vehicle that people will come in and say, well, what do you do here? And that gives us an opportunity to share what we do. And then we've received referrals that way. And we've also been really happy with the some of our social service minutes that we've been putting out there through iHeartRadio. We've been getting a lot of phone calls. I didn't know you guys were even here, and yeah, we're here. So it's really helped to get some exposure for what we do.
No, that's great. And I hope folks heard, because, you partner with a lot of other organizations, whether that's juvenile court, Jobs and Family Services, other organizations, even other mental health or substance use agencies. So that's something that a lot of folks don't know, but hopefully after this series they'll be more aware of. So it wouldn't be uncommon necessarily for somebody to be maybe involved with two of our agencies. Maybe they're going to Pathways, but also going to Appleseed or Acada. So that's the other thing I've always appreciated about Sheryl and the work at Catholic Charities. You guys always partner when partnering makes sense and the client wants to do that. So I'm glad you brought that point out as well. So, well, I always give time at the very end for you to talk about anything else that's on top of mind that you would like our audience to know before we close.
I just appreciate the partnership that we have with the Mental Health and Recovery Board of Ashland County and our partners at Appleseed and Acada. I really want to make sure that if there are needs in the community that are not being addressed, that people don't keep quiet about that. Give the Mental Health Board a call. Give me a call at Catholic Charities. Talk to our other agency directors, Jerry Strasbaugh or Rick Ford, and let them know what they're seeing so that if there's a need that needs to be met, we will work together and make that a reality for them. No,
that's great. And again, I appreciate, Sheryl, your time. And again, I've been speaking with Sheryl Villegas, the director over at Catholic Charities, and we appreciate you and the work that you and your staff are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Keeping Ashland Healthy podcast. The podcast is a production of the Mental Health and Recovery Board of Ashland County, Ohio. You can reach the board by calling 419-281-3139. Please remember that the board funds a local 24/7 crisis line through Appleseed Community Mental Health Center. It can be reached by calling 419-289-6111. That's 419-289-6111. Until next time, please join us in Keeping Ashland Healthy.